Alright guys, we are back and today we gotta do a full breakdown of Gin Ichimaru. Now he is supposedly going to be the character which is dropping next, the next limited SSR character. And we need to talk about his kit, his dupes, his weapon stamp, core stamp, everything there is, because a lot of people have been asking me how his synergy is going to be with Ikaku, or not Ikaku, rather Tosen. Is he going to be a better choice than running Ikaku in a current Thrust team and stuff like that? So yeah, so let's get started. What type of character is Gin actually? Now, going off of his current leaks of his kit and everything, Gin seems to be a high-scaling Thrust type DPS, right? He's going to have a lot of burst combo potential, high utility scaling via usage of his technique points. And a unique sort of mix of sustained pressure, you know, like evasive punishes and stuff like that. The thing about his dupe system is as well, at B6, he becomes a DOT character, which is going to be crazy, right? Now, based off of this, we can tell that his base role is going to be DPS. The DPS style is going to be primarily burst DPS with conditionally scaling DOT at B6. His damage type is obviously thrust, physical with some internal bleeding venom mechanics, again only at B6. He does have scaling levers, which basically technique points, impale stacks, crit and skill usage orders. And the dupe investment scaling with him is actually significant, especially at B2, B4 and B6. But we're going to take a look at all of that in a second. Now let's do a core mechanics overview of what Gin actually brings to the table and everything which he's capable of doing, right? So he does have a basic combo kit, right? Basic attack is basically called Impale Him, Shinzo. He hits 5 times, inflicts so-called impale scales, 35, and charges spiritual pressure. He does have a perfect dodge synergy, which triggers enhanced sub-skills like something called Spear Rain and Blade Sundering Spear. The sub-skill interactions are basically Spear Thrust, where you hold the attack button plus 50 spiritual pressure, inflicts impale scales, plus it also generates the technique points. You're gonna need those technique points later. The Spear Rain is basically a quick tap after the Spear Thrust, similar to how Toshiro's kit works currently, apparently. It's basically AoE burst plus another technique point on top. The technique Shinzo Unsheathed is a charge-based attack which scales with technique points. It has 3 tiers to it. So if you use it while you have 2 technique points, you're going to do Thrusting Spear. If you use it while having 4 technique points, you're going to do the Serpent Shadow Spear, which is going to be an AoE cone type of attack, right? And then if you use it at 6 technique points, it's going to be the Blade Sundering Spear, which is going to be a massive single target burst plus launching attack. His Bankai itself has a base 1450% of attack. It also inflicts at base 50 impale scales. Now this is going to be your burst finisher. The thing with it, or the thing with his entire core mechanics of and the ultimate mechanic is its crucial scaling, which increases significantly based on your core stamp synergy, obviously, and your technique points usage, right? Again, as shown here, you need to have 6, for example, 6 technique points to have the maximum output of damage with his technique. So now we have his core mechanics and his character typing out of the way. Let's break down his dupes to actually have a better overview. Now at beat 1, he gets a great quality of life update, which fuels your kit faster. Basically, you're doubling your charge up rate from basic attacks for your spiritual pressure. At B2, he gets a plus 6 technique points at the start of the battle, plus 1 technique point every 12 seconds. This is going to be the best stopping point if you do not want to hunt for higher up dupes, right? This is going to be a massive enabler and will open early technique point usage, making his damage potential even higher. Basically, very much needed as a DPS. At B4, which is called Cold Skin and Heart, he gets a plus 150% damage to techniques plus specials. Also, basic final hit equals plus 1 technique points on top. This is going to increase his DPS even further. Now, it's not as drastically as the change Eisen experienced at B4, but it is still definitely notable. And at B6, he's obviously the maximum potential. Now, this one is called Cell Dissolution, and the ultimate now inflicts a Snake Venom DOT, plus a delayed explosion, and also the TP usage releases Phantom Technique hits without interrupting charge. Now, the thing that's got to be noted here, yes, he becomes I'd say pseudo DOT hybrid unit, but he's not a natural DOT unit like Kaname or Ikaku, because he will only inflict a DOT Venom with his ultimate. This one will only last for roughly about 12 seconds. After 12 seconds, it will explode. Yes, you will deal further damage. However, the true DOT will actually go away at that point. So yeah, that's something to be noted when actually trying to hunt for his B6. Now, let's go over his stamp and his core stamp, actually his weapon stamp and his core stamp. This one's going to be interesting because the weapon stamp essentially triggers buffs based on impale stack usage. So 12.5% technique damage stacks 3 times up to 37.5%. The 15% crit rate for 20 seconds increase is going to be a huge bonus of his weapon stamp. Plus, he will have an active counter with 750% of attack plus 40 impale scales. Also, plus 2 technique points. So 25% increased impale application chance with his weapon stamp, which is going to be huge because a lot of his kit revolves around the impale applications and sort of the impale stacks and everything, right? And it will also have a huge synergy with his kit's core mechanic, which promotes sort of a good rhythm of the impale application. Now, his core stamp, on the other hand, increases the ultimate damage by 75%. The 10% ultimate crit damage per TP used is also a huge bonus to his damage output on his ultimate, which stacks up to 12 times. Now, this is something that encourages high technique points spending before you are actually going to use your ult. This is generally the way you want to play him, right? You want to use up all of your technique points before actually using his ultimate when actually playing with him. Now, let's clarify something, because I've been asked quite frequently, is Gin a DOT unit? So his impale scales do not equal to DOT. They are more like a debuff mechanic, probably part of a conditional stacking sort of effect tied to his own mechanics, right? He triggers debuffs, technique upgrades, counter availability and stuff like that. So until you have Gin at B6, Gin has literally 0 true DOT mechanics, right? His damage comes from burst interactions, which is going to be Spear Rain, Blade Sundering, the Spear, Ultimate, crit stacks and stuff like that. So yeah, no DOTs. At B6, this entire thing changes, right? His ultimate gains real DOT, but only his ultimate, nothing else. He will apply the so-called Snake Venom, which basically gives 150% attacks, plus 12 seconds, plus explosion, 50% of total dealt on top of that, right? Which is going to be nice. It will also add extra technique skills effects while charging, which will make him a semi-hybrid DOT burst unit. But yeah, Gin is not a DOT character by default. Again, he will become a hybrid DOT at B6, but yeah, the investment's going to be huge if you want to have him as a DPS DOT unit. Below that, he is a burst damage specialist. That's it. Like, he will scale off hard off his technique point rotations and stuff like that, but that's it. No DOT below B6. So yeah, my conclusion and final take on Gin is going to be he has strengths and weaknesses. Now, I've wrote down a few of them here. Now, massive burst potential. Obviously, he's got a flexible rotation flow. He's actually easy on rotations. Great synergy with core mechanics, right? Obviously, technique points, impale, crit, and stuff like that. He's got a high ceiling at B6 with a true DOT overlay. And also, he's got good cooldown control with perfect dodge. Now, if you read his kit, he does have extreme good dodge cooldown reductions and stuff like that, and technique point regeneration. This is going to be huge. His biggest weaknesses are literally going to be that he doesn't have DOT below 6, which doesn't give him that true DPS DOT like Kaname or Ikaku. So it's going to be, it remains to be seen how his synergy is going to be with Kaname and Ikaku. I'm not sure as of yet. I'm going to have to play myself to actually test all of this. The thing with him is he's a very technical character. He's not easy. By the looks of his kit, he's going to require a lot of skill expression. If you're going to use his kit poorly, you're actually underperforming, and you're going to realize this hugely in tougher content. I feel like if he's going to be a character which is going to be used on auto, he'll probably underperform extremely, but we'll see. He's also heavily dependent on the technique point cycling. So if you do not have higher dupes, right, or if you do not have his weapon stamp, then it's already a huge minus for Gin. So he's not really free to play friendly, in my opinion, as of now. And also the thing with him is the B2 or even B4 are more or less essential if you want to play him comfortably. Because if you have him at B0, he's literally like an incomplete character. Yes, it's nice to have, but you might as well just play Ikaku, especially since he's on a standard banner. And if you gain more dupes of Ikaku with time, then that's probably even more worthwhile than having a B0 Gin, especially if you do not have Gin's separate weapon stamp. So yeah, that's that. So my final verdict on Gin, obviously this is going to change once the game actually releases him. He's going to be top tier, technique-based burst DPS, obviously. He's going to have his own unique playstyle. He's going to be very good. Is he better than Aizen at even Aizen at B4 or B6? No. I'm gonna say this straight up. He's not going to be better than Aizen by far. Even if you have Gin at B6, he's not going to be able to unleash the same potential and Aizen at B6 has. So Aizen's still going to be the better investment. He's not going to be a DOT character by default, but at B6 he becomes a hybrid monster. Probably, we'll see. We're gonna have to test this out. He's highly recommended, or I would highly recommend him for players who enjoy like a reactive combat, like a reward-based burst kit. Like if you're able to actually dodge perfectly, or not dodge perfectly, block perfectly and stuff like that, then you're gonna feel his rewarding kit. If that's not something for you, then probably Gin is not going to be the best character for you. As a casual F2P player, you might struggle without his dupes at B2 or B4. So as it stands now, he's not going to be very free to play friendly, unlike Aizen. Aizen at B0 is extremely useful, right, for any team composition. But Gin at B0, he's not going to be as rewarding and useful as an Aizen, for example, at B0. So yeah, that's my final verdict on Gin. Obviously, we're gonna have to go over all of this once he actually gets released. But as of now, yeah, that's it. Do let me know down below in the comment sections what you think about all of this, and if you have any more opinions about Gin's kit and everything, then yeah, feel free to discuss it down below in the comment sections. And as always, thanks for tuning in. Take care of yourselves. Until next time.